Welcome to my views and news. Three news stories. First one is from Oromia, where Oromia religious institutions have held a meeting. They have issued a joint statement regarding likelihood of talks between the Oromo Liberation Army and Oromia regional government or Ethiopian federal government. 3-day fasting has been announced by these religious institutions. Muslims, Orthodox Christians, Protestants, others were there to issue a joint statement. Details for you. And second, viewers, some associates of Zemene Kassie, Fano commander, have been released from prison. Is there any likelihood of release of Zemene Kassie too? And thirdly, Laascaanood, Somaliland. The conflict, which started around 3 weeks ago, is continuing, though no fighting in the last 2 days, but no agreed ceasefire put in place as well. The conflict is turning into a regional conflict. Another call for a separate country is being heard in Sul region. Sul, Sanag, these areas where SSC fighters are operating. We have details for you. A complete look of the last at the last 20 days. What are the objectives of SSC? What is Somali region of Ethiopia's role in terms of receiving IDPs, in terms of SSC leaders' claim to Somali region? Are SSC fighters armed with heavy weapons? Which corridors are being used by them? Because obviously they are encircled. Yes, this zone shares border with Portland, but we have no convincing evidence that Portland is part of this conflict in Laascaanood. Details for you. Firstly, viewers, Oromia region. Today, a joint statement was issued by Oromia religious institutions. All main religious institutions of Oromia held a joint meeting today. From Orthodox religion, Abune Sarios was there. Abune Sarios is Archbishop. His title was revoked a few days ago when he and 2 other archbishops made appointments of 26 bishops in and outside Oromia. Later, reconciliation was achieved and now his title has been restored. All main religious institutions were part of this meeting. Firstly, the participants welcomed Oromo Liberation Army's call for peace and Oromia regional government's call for peace. The participants said that they were ready to play a role for peace in Oromia. And they announced a start of fasting from next Friday. From the 1st of March till the 3rd of March, Ethiopian calendar. From the 10th of March till the 12th of March, other calendar. Fasting will be held in Oromia for peace, for this peace process to start and succeed. Can these institutions play any role in the resolution of the conflict, in mediatory role between OLA and government? It's not very likely. OLA wants a third party mediation, third party from Africa, from Europe, etc. So, but they can play a role in terms of backing government to take some confidence building measures. Overall, we're seeing appetite for peace in Oromia, which should be encouraged. Religious institutions, government, OLA, all are calling for peace. Momentum is there. Momentum started when Pretoria Agreement was signed. Then we saw signing of an agreement between rival factions of Orthodox Church. This momentum is ongoing, though we have not seen any solid progress towards start of talks between OLA and Ethiopian government. Secondly, was the Fano commander Zemene Kassie is still in prison. He was arrested last year from Bahirdar. One Fano commander is in prison. Other Mere Vodajo was seen at Adwa celebration yesterday in Kobo, seen with a gun. You see that those Fano commanders who are under the thumb of Ethiopian National Defense Force, they are allowed to attend large gatherings armed. And those who raise questions, those who want independence, independence means in terms of operations, they are being put in prisons, like Zemene Kassie. Zemene Kassie's some associates have been released. 3 associates have been released. Ashanafi Akalo, a Fano fighter, close to him, released. Zarehun Awake, close to him, his associate, some say his driver, released. And a family member of Zemene Kassie, Fantalio, has also been released. Zemene Kassie is in prison. Yesterday's call by Amhara youth to organize a big rally in Bahirdar for the release of Zemene Kassie failed. Amhara government did not allow this rally to be held. Rather, Adwa Victory Day celebrations in Bahirdar were restricted because there were fears that people could gather in large number in Bahirdar. So far, no solid information about the release of Zemene Kassie. But pressure is there in the Amhara region. Hardliners, they want release of Zemene Kassie. Lastly was Laascaanood, Somaliland. The conflict started years ago, obviously, and the second bout of violence started around 3 weeks ago. Laascaanood is in Sul region. When the fighting started, what we are hearing was that people wanted to join Somalia. We saw Somalia's flags being waved in Laascaanood. Somaliland accused Al-Shabaab, it accused Puntland, which shares border with this area, that they were involved, they were backing SSC fighters, Laascaanood fighters, though we never saw any confirmation that Al-Shabaab was involved. Somaliland's government announced unilateral ceasefire a few days ago, but no ceasefire. No fighting in the last 2 to 3 days. We have a clip for you from today. But there is precarious calm. Fighting can start anytime. Why? Because issues have not been resolved so far. What are the issues? SSC fighters, forces of Garads, who are tribal elders, mainly Dulbahante tribal leader, Jamak Ali and others fighters, they have been fighting in Laascaanood for days. Somaliland's forces could not take control of Laascaanood. Rather, fighting spread to areas outside Laascaanood. In Gambacha, Tukarak, there was fighting. And Somaliland's forces had to withdraw from Gambacha and Tukarak. Why is that SSC fighters are so strong that they are repelling offensives from a military? Somaliland has a military army. SSC fighters are armed with weapons, and in some cases they have heavy weapons too. I have seen a video showing, I think, some Zu-23-2s, anti-aircraft guns, dual purpose, being used by SSC fighters. How are they receiving weapons? 2 corridors. They are receiving their weapons, their supplies from Buhudal and Hudan. northern and southern two corridors are being used. One from Somaliland side and the other one from Portland side. Both are being used for supply of weapons aid to SSC fighters. So despite a 3-week-long fighting, Somaliland's forces could not considerably weaken SSC fighters. Rather, fighting spread to nearby areas. And now, interestingly, while we were hearing that people wanted to join Somalia a few days ago, now some elders are saying they want independence. They want a separate country comprising Sool and neighboring regions. And these tribal elders have their claims to Somali region of Ethiopia too, which shares border with Somaliland. Somali region of Ethiopia is hosting thousands, tens of thousands of people from Laascaanood, from nearby areas, who fled the fighting and now who are in Somali region of Ethiopia. So Ethiopia is under threat in a way. Somali under threat if this conflict goes on. And if SSC fighters become stronger, they could challenge Somali region of Ethiopia too. Though Garads, they have not officially, publicly said that they want an independent country. But some have been heard saying. That is why this conflict is spreading. People suffering, large-scale displacements, Somaliland's forces bombarded infrastructure in Laascaanood, hospitals were destroyed too. Doctors Without Borders had to suspend its humanitarian operations in the area because of fighting and shelling. And no agreed ceasefire so far. Those who were supporting SSC, now they have doubts. They say Somaliland could not get recognition. It has been fighting for recognition for years. And now another state is emerging. Self-declared country is emerging in Sool. That is why some SSC supporters are turning against them. And foreign powers as well, though we have seen statements from EU, from US condemning Somaliland's action in terms of operation in Laascaanood, in Sool. But now they are seeing the bigger picture, that if SSC fighters are allowed to be strong, they could announce independence. So SSC fighters are losing allies. Somaliland's narrative is becoming stronger, though pressure is there on Somaliland to put an end to this fighting. So far, relative calm for the last 2 days, relative calm, but again I'm saying no ceasefire. So we cannot say that issue resolved, because if you remember, more than a month ago there was fighting, then calm for a few days, fighting resumed. It went on for 3 weeks around, and large number of casualties on both sides. Dozens killed, hundreds injured, but details are not being shared. This conflict, which started from Laascaanood, is engulfing a large area. It is becoming a threat to Ethiopia. Somalia is already facing lots of threats, but Mogadishu is mainly neutral. Portland as well, Portland's military, Somalia's military is not part of this conflict. Somalia has not sent any troops, or Portland any troops to Laascaanood. They could be providing some sort of support to them, especially Portland, secret support, but mainly they're not part of this conflict. But if this conflict goes on, we could see calls for independence in Sool, open public calls. That is why neighboring countries are revisiting their strategy regarding how to tackle this conflict in the neighborhood. We have two clips for you. First one shows SSC fighters, a convoy of them armed. You can see trucks, you can see at least one or two heavy weapons too. Second clip shows what is happening there today. Relative calm, no fighting today and yesterday. Let's hope that this calm, this temporary peace turn into permanent ceasefire. Otherwise, we could see start of a large conflict in this region. Watch the clip. Thank you for watching.